Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. So this video right here is something that I've been back and forth on doing. I wish I would have did it when I first replaced my magazine tube for the Benelli, but I did not. And one reason I didn't do it is because I didn't know what I was doing when I first did it. There's no videos out there that shows how to remove this magazine tube to replace it with a 3-position, 4-position tube. So in this video, I'm going to do that real quick. I said it's going to be real quick. It was probably going to be long. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The only thing I'm focusing on is the removal of this tube. And what you're going to need yourself a heat gun or a torch. And I would really recommend a heat gun, because if you try to use a torch, you may just destroy some of your finish on your gun. And you don't want to do that. Some type of wrench that's going to be able to fit the nut. And I do not recommend channel locks at all, because you will damage your nut. Snap ring pliers. A punch of some sort. You don't really need a punch. This is just for something that's going to be shown later when you got to put inside these to hold your spring in. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on changing your fix, whether it's a skeleton stock or a fixed butt stock on it, getting it off and replacing it with a 3-position. Now, like I said, I've already done this process and I'm just doing it again. So if you were to get a Benelli that had the skeleton stock and it's not going forward, it's because you have this single position stock tube on there. So you're going to have to replace that with one of the 3-position or 4-position. So you remove your butt stock. Remove the pistol grip. All right. And this is where the snap ring pliers are going to come in. Behind it here, you're going to find a little area that has snap ring in it. So you're going to remove this snap ring. Okay. So got the snap ring out. And then there's a little piece that you either can use a screwdriver. It may be finger tight. Mine's is finger tight right now. So I can kind of back it out as I'm going here. And you'll see that it's going to come out. Some may be easy, some may be hard. But like I said, mine's has already been removed. This is where your... As a matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be a punch. It could be just something long like a nail or something. And what that's going to do is going to hold inside of that recoil spring. It's going to hold it in place once you remove this retainer here and prevent it from like popping out on you. It may pop out a little bit, but it'll prevent it from like completely popping out on you. So, all right. So you see, got that removed. Got my spring here. Now I can remove this and boom, it all came out. So you got your spring here, your recoil spring. Here you got your plunger for that rides on your bolt. I don't remember what that little piece is called for the bolt, but that's going to be in there, and I believe that was it. So yeah, just make sure you take this out slowly. And once it all comes out, you can begin. My hands got dirty from oil. Oh well. You can begin heating up this nut right here. So when I first started doing this, I wasn't even sure if this thing came off or if it was a part of the gun or not, if it just screwed in there. So just so you know, this is basically a locking nut. And you're going to have to heat this up quite a bit in order to break all of this stuff off that's right here. This is the original stuff that came on it, and it is super, super tough. It's going to take you, if you're using a heat gun, it took me an hour and about 15 minutes just to get it so that it'll kind of turn. And then once I was able to get it to just slightly turn, I let it stay on there for about another 15 minutes, and then I was able to unscrew it off without damaging anything. But it took me a while using a heat gun just to get that nut off. So instead of boring you with me heating it up and removing it, I'm going to heat it up. I'm going to break it to where it's actually starting to come off, and then I'll start the video over again. All right, stand by. Okay, so it's not quite off. I haven't even been doing this for about 2 minutes yet, but I just wanted to let you know I have red Loctite on mine, and hopefully it doesn't take me as long to do this. But I forgot to mention when I was mentioning tools, you want something that you can hold your shotgun in order to be able to do this process, because it takes, like I said, about an hour just to get it all heated up and done. So while I do this, like I said, I just wanted to start the video real quick just to say that. And I'm going to put you on pause again, and we'll start back up, like I said, once I break it. Alright, so I got it to move. Like I was saying earlier, I haven't been doing it this long. I have red Loctite on there. But I got it to move, and just like what happened when I first tried to do this, the original one, is even though I got it to move, I still needed to let it heat up a lot more in order to get this nut to start coming off. But as you see right now, the nut is starting to move. And I'm trying to do this with one hand while holding the wrench. It would be better if I was a lot closer. So now that I got it to somewhat come off, I can stop the heat. Now you can hear me better and I can stop yelling. We're going to go ahead and completely remove this nut. Now be careful, because it's hot. It's going to be hot, especially if you're doing this for the first time. It's going to be super, super hot. I don't want to touch it right now. Try to let it cool down if you have to, but yeah, even that's just a bit hot. So just trying to get this off. And this is why I say earlier that you don't want snap ring pliers, because when it first breaks off, it might slip, which is what happened to me here. It slipped a little bit, but the nut's coming off. It's warmer, or just a little warm. And you see all there's red Loctite in there. This is going to be some white putty type stuff when you remove yours. And I may have to actually heat it up again, because I only broke it enough to get the nut off. But at this point in time, with your tube, yep. So I'm going to have to heat it up some more in order to get the tube, because this tube is also screwed in there, and this just locks it on there. So I'm going to pause you. I'm going to heat it some more until I can break this tube free. Alright, so I got this loose enough to where I can get it turning. Now, I would say I didn't want to mess up my tube. And if you're taking off the other tube, it really won't matter what you're using to get it off. If you don't plan on selling it or reusing that tube. But I don't recommend doing it this way. It's just all I got. I would try to use a strap wrench if you have a good enough strap wrench. I don't have a good enough strap wrench to remove it. So this is what I'm using. Now, you see all that Loctite that's coming out of there? This is exactly how yours is going to look, except it's going to be a lot thicker of Loctite. So it's going to take a while, and it's a little hot, so be careful, like I said. Alright, so if this was the original one position tube, you removed it. Now you got your 3-position tube ready to go back on. I am going to clean this up. I'm going to clean this out. And that's the same thing you're going to have to do once you remove your 1-position tube, is clean it all up and put it back in there. Now, while I got this out, this is something that I'm going to tell you right now. There's a little, let's see if I can get this in focus. Hopefully you can. All right, so, and right here on the lip, it's dirty. Let me blow this out real quick. All right, right here on the edge of these tubes, when you take out your single piece, is going to be a little clip. All right, that little clip is a pain to get out. It took me a scribe and a screwdriver to get that out, and it took a while, and I almost damaged it to the point I couldn't get it back in, but I managed to get it out. If you're going to replace this tube, look into Benelli parts and see if you can buy this tube or sorry, this tube clip. And this little clip right here is what retains the plunger. So once the plunger goes in, it keeps it into place. I don't want to tilt it up too far, but it holds it into place. Without that little clip, your plunger is just going to come right out. So make sure you either figure out a way that you're going to be able to get that out. I 100% recommend you just buying a new one and putting it into your new tube. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and reinstall it for you. Alright, so now it's time to reinstall it. I like red Loctite. You can use blue, you can if you want to, but I prefer red. I don't want it to come off at all, so I put quite a bit of Loctite on mine just because I don't want it backing off. This will be the last time that I'll hopefully ever have to take this apart again. And again, I didn't have to take it apart, but for you all, I did. So, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall it. Now, if you notice, I have this stock on it. And the reason for that is so I can align it once I get it up where it needs to be. There it goes. And this is a little tricky because you have to have these threads directly on there the right way. Otherwise, it's not going to want to go on. So let me see if I can get it up in there. There it goes. All right. So once you actually get these threads aligned, it'll go in there pretty smooth. But you want to make sure when you're installing it, you want to put your pistol grip on there and make sure that it, in fact, will go on there and screw on right. All right. And you also want to have your buttstock on there to make sure it's locked in place where it's supposed to be. But you want to look and make sure once that's on there, your pistol grip is installed. Your pistol grip can go on there tight, but not be over tight. And this may take some adjustment, so you may have to back it out some just to get it. And again, I got my nut on here, so back it off a bit or tighten it. However is going to work for you. You can see my Loctite is already starting to set, but it'll be fine. So yeah, you want to make sure that your pistol grip will, in fact, go on before you finish tightening this up. You don't want to go too far, otherwise your pistol grip is not going to go on. And just like right there, where it's just about getting tight, that's exactly where I want it. All right, so all right, got all that installed, got all of it lined up. Go ahead and break this off of your pistol grip. You can actually even take your magnet or your stock off, but I'm not going to do that. The only reason I don't do that right now is because I want to use my stock as a counter measure to prevent my tube from turning. So go ahead and tighten this down. Now, I don't know the torque spec for this. I could probably look it up, but I don't have a torque wrench that's going to work for it. So I just like to get it good and snug. All right, you want to take your plunger. And I should probably clean this off before I throw it in there, but I'm in the middle of already recording, so I'm not going to do that. But when you actually do it, go ahead and clean off your plunger. And this is where you're going to want to put your spring in, and be careful because it's going to want to pop out as you saw before. Get it in there as far as you can get it. You're going to take your punch or whatever it is that you used originally to hold it into place and go ahead and install that back in there. So now you got just that much sticking out. You're going to take your cap, make sure that it's facing out right. I don't know if it'll go in there backwards or not, but just in case it does, just make sure it's facing out. And you don't want to remove your wrench right now, or not your wrench, but your tool that's holding the spring into place right now, because it's still, even with this little bit, is under pressure. All right. And once you get your bite on there, you can start getting it in there and it'll start going. So at this point, you can now remove it. It's not going to hurt anything because it's already contained. Go ahead and run this up there as far as it'll go. And again, you can use a screwdriver, you can use your fingers. You don't need it super tight because it's going to come loose anyways. And that's what this clip is for to hold it in. So we're going to go ahead and put this back in there. Now you're going to make sure your retaining clip is in place, and it is now. All right. And for the most part, I just got to clean up this little area right here and throw my pistol grip back on there, throw my stock back on there, and she's ready to go. All right, ignore the background. I just dropped my sheet down so when I'm working, but anywho, I got her back on there. Now she's working like she's supposed to. Did a function check to make sure that everything worked good here. Everything's good there. Two companies I want to give a shout out to for helping me make this happen. And one of them is Carrier Comp. I got my mag tube from them. And along with the mag tube, it came with the follower. Some of these items that you need to make this 922R compliant in order to actually drop the stock. I'm not going to talk about that in this, but that's one of the companies, Carrier Comp. If you're looking for a nice mag tube. Freedom Fighter Tactical. If you're looking for the trigger assembly. He also, on Freedom Fighter Tactical, has pretty much everything you need to make this Benelli 922R compliant. To get the stock collapsible tube and everything. I don't know if they still have them in stock right now because of how crazy things are going. In 2020, it's December as of right now. December 2020 as of right now. But yeah, check those two companies out. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. Y'all take care now. Bye.